Hey everybody, welcome back to a new episode of the Jay Young Show. Today my co-host, Jordan Soto. Hello Jordan, how we doing?
Hi.
How was your weekend?
Well, Jay, you are now officially talking to a CEO, sir.
What? What?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Mm-hmm.
What happened? No, not what happened. Congratulations.
Thanks, Jay.
Wow.
Yeah, I just filed for my LLC for Soto Studios. So that is an official business. Very exciting and
Good.
quite daunting to start a business, by the way. If you're a really creative person, there's just like, you go to the IRS website and you're like, what is happening here?
Wow. Good for you. Good for you. So now what is it again and what studio?
Yeah, so Soto Studios is a audio visual production company.
Okay.
I help people with their branding. I help people bring their stories to life and share those stories with the targeted audience that they're going for.
Wow. That is great. Congratulations on that.
I'm doing it.
Good for you. Hey, good for you. If you don't do it now, it may not ever happen. Once you feel the urge, go at it, Man, I mean,
Well,
it takes a lot. It takes a lot. And, man, I had kids and I had a tremendous, burden and I had to make some money fast. And it was a different world back then. But congratulations on doing it now and getting it and start making, once you start figuring out how to make money and you just continue to make that money, man, you can build on it and build on it and build on it in the future. So, man, I look forward to that. That's going to be really good. So, congratulations
yeah.
again, and look forward to
Thank you,
hearing all
thank you.
about it.
Yeah, once you find your niche audience, like that is where everything should flow through. So I found the audience. Thank
Good.
God.
You found you
So
see you already have some clients.
yes, yes, I just signed my first one. Well, I have two really, but I and with the first one, I was like, oh, I can just be a sole proprietor. And then with the second one, they were like wanting all this legal mumbo jumbo and like an EIN and all this stuff. And I was like, what is that?
Yeah.
So, but I used LegalZoom to help me get everything together, file the LLC, have all my documentation in one place.
Right.
They made it super easy,
Oh, good.
and did everything, and also got a registered agent. I didn't know that I needed that as a business owner. So I have a registered agent. I have my mail location. I have the filing. They helped it. I mean, honestly, Jay, they made it so easy. I was so overwhelmed, and it was awesome. We're not sponsored by them, but maybe we could be.
Yeah. Man, we should be. Hey, you're giving them a good pat on the back and a good
Yeah.
advertisement right now. So that's great. All right, great. Well, hey, let's
Well,
get into oil and gas. What I want to talk about first is there an article that came out in the Wall Street Journal on Saturday that talked about Cody Campbell, and he, credible guy. They've had several exits in the billions of dollars in the oil and gas sector. So there's been at least three. The first one was 2, the second one was 6.4, the next one was 4. They're starting on the next one right now, which is I think number 5. So they've had these exits, and and the reason why I say that is because they build up assets, and then they sell them, and that's what King Operating's doing. We're doing the same thing that Cody Campbell did, or Autry Stevens or Trevor Reese Jones. Tim Dunn. I can go on and on and on and talking about different people that build up assets and sell, but that's what our company does. You didn't get a call from them. Nobody here in the audience got a call from them and said, "Oh yeah, hey, by the way, put in 200 grand or $500,000 to invest in this deal with Cody Campbell." You didn't get that call because it was all private equity and it was institutional investments,
right.
where we do it different. There wasn't a way to do that until now, but that's what King Operating does, and we do that same thing, but we're doing it in a different way because I want investors to participate in oil and gas and to be in that kind of deal. So, I I thought about it, and then I thought about, Cody Campbell, and I thought about, I've met him a couple of times. Great, big guy, football player from Texas Tech. He's
Well, if
donated.
you're saying that, then it must be true because you are one of the tallest men that I've been around.
Yeah.
I'm like, whoa,
Well,
how's
thanks.
it going up there, Jay? I'm also 5'2", so
Yeah. And he's I think about the same height that I am, but he wears cowboy boots every time, and that gives him an extra 3 inches or so, 2-3 inches. Yeah. So anyway, it is fun, and it is. Cody's a great guy, and he's done a lot for Texas Tech. Obviously, they're ranked in the top 10 right now, and they'll be vying for that last college final spot. So that's good. Hey, but also we had Landman come on this weekend. I don't know if anybody watched Landman. Did you see Landman last night?
I know you said you were going to.
Yeah, I did. I've got my true false questions ready to go. We're going to have
Love it.
another episode. We'll have another episode outside this, and I'm going to do a true or false question. So I'm going to bring up the topic today, and it's going to be about the 500 barrels a day over 2-year period that they talked about in the show. And I want to say, hey, is that true or false? Can a well come in at 5,600 feet, 5,800 feet, and stay at 500 barrels a day for 2 years? We're going to talk about that, true or false. But the show came off good. It did not disappoint at all.
Good.
It was great. So I think everybody should watch. Everybody should watch Landman. And if you're an oil man or you want to be in the oil business, it's a great place. That's kind of how I grew up. I grew up with the same kind of guys, so it was pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right, well, let's talk about U.S. oil demand and production. I was on a Lafayette, Louisiana radio station. Well, there's like 9 radio stations with this one gentleman today, Moon Griffin, and it talked about, where's demand going for oil and gas? And the demand is going to be strong for not only oil, and I believe we're not going to see peak demand in my lifetime where oil demand continues to go up and up and up. Even though we have electric cars, they don't account for that much of a barrel of oil right now. But I feel like oil demand is going to go up. But I really feel like natural gas is going to go up and up and up. We've seen $9, $12 gas before. Right now, the price is at $4 or so, and I believe that's going to remain strong. The demand for natural gas will continue to rise, not only because of LNG and us being able to export natural gas through LNG plants and ships overseas, but also because of the all these data centers. These data centers that are coming in, and AI, and you can't pick up a Wall Street Journal without reading more about AI. It's like on the front page of every Wall Street Journal, and it's like there's something about AI there. So pretty remarkable.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think the other part of the natural gas market strengthening is also a few of those Gulf Coast projects that are set to come online and ramp up soon as well. So, there's a lot happening there. It's a really exciting space. And like you said, AI is just like, I want to say AI is a driving force for so many different industries right now. And of course, oil and gas being one of those industries that it's driving momentum with.
Yeah. Good. Exactly. You're 100% right. And there's not much that you do these days without thinking about AI. And it just makes sense. I mean, we talked about it, with AI and our books and our wells. And we had at one time, if you wanted to know about a well, you had to go into the storage closet and go through like 200 boxes of information to try to get to the right well that we had in our database. But today, and we downloaded all those to the cloud, and then we're going to take it a step further, and we're going to go into AI, and we're going to have it from AI. So if I want to know about a couple of wells, let's say we have a couple of East Texas wells, I can just ask, I don't know who you would call the name, but I just call AI. Let's just say AI for some reason. I don't know. King AI. Hey, King AI, tell me the lateral lengths of the wells that we drilled in the Cotton Valley well number XYZ and XY. Tell me the lateral lengths and the perforations and how much gas those wells have made. And it comes up on my screen. It tells me exactly right there. Hey, AI, how much oil and gas are we making right now per month? How much oil and gas are we making per month? What's our revenues per? And it just, bang, comes up right there. Today, I mean, today, not today, because we're in the cloud with a lot of our stuff. But before, you'd have to go to 2-3 different geologists, and they'd have to go in and go in there, get their chairs, and sit down with boxes and boxes of information, and go through that. And today, it's at your fingertips. So I think it's a great segue into getting data faster, because when you're thinking about it, it's when you want to know the answers. It's not like hey, Jordan, what do you think our revenues were from the last, what's our expenses been, LOS expenses been for the last 12 months? And then you go, hey, let me get that information. And then you go off.
Let me go look at that spreadsheet.
Yeah. And then if you can find the spreadsheet, and if you can't, you have to create it.
That's the next part.
Yeah. And you have to create it, and then 3-4 days later, I've already lost interest in knowing what I would do with that information. And finally, you send it to me in an email, and I get that with about 100 more emails a day. So it's just really coming on strong, and I like what's going on with that. And it's just going to shift a lot of people from, the guys that are going through the boxes to the people that take that information and they're smarter with it, and it's a lot better data.
Right.
So that's really
again,
good.
AI is only as good as your data, and only as good as your data management.
Yeah,
so it's really important for companies in this age and era to manage their data in a meaningful way, so that they can compose the data center for the AI to their benefit. Yeah. Because if you have bad in, bad out. So better data management is always better.
Yeah.
One thing before we get into the interview is oil prices in winter. I know that this is something that we had talked about offline a little bit, feeling a little bit of some mild upward pressure on oil prices heading into these colder months. Do you have any thoughts or opinions on this?
Yeah, I mean it's if we have a mild winter, natural gas prices stay a little bit lower because of demand. But I feel like going into the wintertime, we're going to see some really good prices, and we'll see some good prices not only from the winter, but from the AI and also the LNG market. So, I think we're in for a good. I think we're in for some stronger prices going in. Plus, I mean, if we talk about demand's going to be there. Our supply isn't going to be there. Our supply has been hurt in the last couple of months because, well, not the supply yet. The supply will tip over, and the production is going to go down pretty soon because we're not drilling as many wells, especially in the Permian, where 44% of our rigs have been knocked off the last 2 years. But also, those wells decline. That's like I was talking about a minute ago on Landman, he talks about 500 barrels a day for 2 years. If a well comes on today for 500 barrels, it does not. I'm telling you the answer to my true or false. Dang it.
I was like, wait a second.
But a well does not come on at 500 barrels a day and stay there for 2 years. They just don't do that. But on the show, it does. I guess on the show Landman, it does.
They're seeing lots of success.
Hollywood. Hey, there you go.
Hollywood.
Yo. Hey, okay, let's get to the interview this week. This guy is probably IRS worst nightmare. And he's small business best friend, Ed Lyons. Ed, he's an incredible gentleman, and he is the funniest tax guy because he doesn't make light of things. He really is a very, very astute CPA that saves you money. He saves you money. But we sit down with him, and we talk about the entrepreneurs that can keep their hard-earned money, because there's nothing like not paying as much in taxes, which is what oil and gas does help. Write a check by end of the year, and then all of a sudden, you get the write-offs, and you get 80% write-off for oil and gas if you invest in one of our funds by the end of this year. Hint, hint. But anyway, no, just kidding. That was not a
Not
commercial.
saying that you have to do this, but you might really
Yeah.
want to.
If you don't want to save money on your taxes, I understand. If you don't make any money, man, I'm all in, 100%. I don't want you to. I want you to pay more taxes and put your money into something that you're making 4% on. No, but I'm just saying that Ed is an expert when he talks about how can I save money on taxes, what can I
Right.
do to save money on taxes, and without crossing the line. I mean, there's a lot of people that may sit out there, but he's built his career on legally beating the IRS and talking about tax breaks. He has a tremendous amount of tax breaks that he knows. He's seen the mistakes, and he does know that whatever you need to do, he has a solution for you and what you do, and he won't make you concern yourself with hey, I'm going to go over the line, or worst thing is the IRS coming in and auditing your books or whatever the case may be, and nobody wants that, obviously. But anyway, so we're having a really great interview with him. So Jordan, without any further ado, let's introduce Mr. Ed Lyon, CPA extraordinaire, funniest tax guy in America. So here we go.
Wow, I don't know who wrote that spectacular introduction, but thank you. It's really a pleasure to be here, and we're going to talk about a few simple lessons and one very powerful strategy that can help you pay less.
Absolutely, I appreciate that. So let's start with how have you done this, or how did you get interested in trying to get clients more return on their dollar from taxes? Did you have that kind of background? Or tell us about your background.
I'm trained as an attorney, and that's very different from most tax professionals. Most tax professionals are trained as accountants, and accountants generally are rule followers. They learn what the rules are. They spend 4 years of their education learning to follow the rules. They spend their first years in their career outside of college actually starting to follow the rules. And then the accountants in businesses where most people go to get their taxes done, then they have some experience and some training to do that. But most of them are not very proactive. They're busy following the rules. Attorneys, as you can guess, and I'm going to poke a little fun at the profession, we are trained to understand the rules, but we're trained to stretch the rules and bend the rules and poke at the rules and do an end run around the rules. It's a much more proactive focus. So I'm going to start with a question, and I already know the answer to this, Jay. When's the last time your tax guy came to you and said, "Hey, Jay, here's an idea that I think will save you money"?
Yeah, it's been. Yeah, I can't even think.
Yeah, most clients.
I have to call them and go, "Hey, what can I do to reduce my taxes? What do I need to do?
Yeah,
How do I need to do it?"
Yeah, or you learn about an idea and you go to them and you say, "Can this work for me?" So most tax pros do a really good job of telling you how much you owe,
Mm-hmm.
but they don't tell you how to pay less. And that's what you really want. So I've spent the last 20 years of my career bridging that gap. I'm not interested in putting numbers in boxes on a form for a client. Anybody can do that. I'm interested in helping them arrange their affairs so that those numbers are happier. And people like that. You can hand them a tax return and they can say, "Oh, this is my refund," or, "Oh, this is how much I have to write a check to the IRS for." But when you hand them a plan and say, "Here are 3 strategies or 5 strategies or 7 strategies that you can use to pay less," that puts a smile on their face.
Right.
So I'm not in the business of telling them how much they owe. I'm in the business of telling them how to pay less.
Hey, that's what I thought when I first was introduced to you. I was like, so this guy is poring over these IRS codes. I mean, looking and finding and but what you're looking at for tax codes, or you're looking for ways that are already out there available that people can use.
Absolutely. I'm not creating new deductions. I'm not creating new strategies. I've got a menu of about 50 or 60 strategies that I typically use. And my goal is to find the ones that are appropriate for my clients. So here's how the tax code works. You hear that the tax code is 70,000 pages. Well, the part that Congress passes, that's about 600. You throw in all the Treasury regulations, the IRS publications, tax court stuff. Who knows how many pages they are? They're way too many to count. But the tax code, let me reduce it to a way that a 5-year-old can understand. The tax code is a series of red lights and green lights. The red lights are where you stop and pay tax. So Code Section 61 says that gross income includes everything, including the change in your couch cushion. That's a red light. Code Section 1 says here are the rates. There are a few other sections for the AMT, self-employment tax, net investment income tax. That's about it. Those are the red lights where you stop and pay. But very quickly, the tax code pivots to green lights, where you can go without paying. So Code Section 105B says if you have a medical expense reimbursement plan, that's tax-free income to the employee. And that's where my very favorite tax deduction comes from, voodoo animal sacrifice. So, and you're thinking, we're going off the rails here, Ed. We're gonna need to cut this out in post-production. The tax court has approved medical deductions for Christian Science practitioners and Navajo Indian medicine man rituals. So under the same logic, your voodoo animal sacrifice is a deductible medical expense as long as it's part of a religious ceremony for healing purposes. Besides, Jay, come on, do you want to tell the voodoo queen she can't deduct her chickens? No, you do not. So the green lights are where you can go without paying tax. The medical expenses, charitable contributions, Code Section 7702 says that loans and withdrawals from life insurance may not be taxable, a whole menu of green lights. And the problem is most accountants focus on the red lights, and that's important because blowing through the red lights is what gets you in trouble. But by the time they're done with your tax return, they've got so many other tax returns to do. They either don't have the time or the training or the proactive mindset to go looking for those green lights. So that's where a proactive planner like me comes in. We sit down and we say, okay, where are the green lights that will get the client to their financial goals with less interference from the IRS? And then one final factor, in 50 states in the country, it's legal to turn right on a red light so long as you don't see traffic coming in the other direction. There are a lot of areas in the tax code where you don't have a green light, but you can turn right on a red light. So if someone makes $500,000 a year and they say, hey, Ed, I'd like to set up a Roth IRA, I'm going to say your income is too high to do that. And the Roth IRA, you can only put $7,000 a year in anyway. That's not going to get you anywhere. But maybe you can make a deductible SEP contribution and immediately convert it to a Roth IRA. So we look for ways to turn right on red. A lot of accountants aren't trained where they can turn right on red, or they just don't feel comfortable doing it.
Yeah. And I'm sure these, tax firms, they have hundreds, thousands, whatever, of different clients.
Absolutely.
And they're like, okay, well, we don't want to rock the boat, or the IRS raised their hand at all. So why do we want to take any chances on anything? So they'll just follow the code and put it in.
They'll follow the code. In some cases, they are more conservative than the code requires. I call that the wimp tax. If your CPA is a wimp, you're going to pay more money in taxes. You're paying the wimp tax. And the sad part is the CPA is not leaving their money on the table. They're leaving your money on the table.
Yeah. Protecting themselves.
And they're just, I have heard the quote before, the 7 most expensive words in the English language are, my accountant takes care of my taxes. Your accountant puts numbers in boxes, and that's great. Your accountant doesn't help you pay less.
Man, you're speaking right now to the person that's exactly what I do. Or I mean, this past year, I've been asking more questions about it and saying, okay, so now what can we do? And I have gone back in the past and said, well, hey, what about this? And what about this? And all of a sudden, instead of paying X, I pay Y. And it's like, I mean, it's like they don't want to take any chances. So I can really
Hmm.
see that's a great
Yeah.
business that you've created. Is I'm not going to go to my CPA and ask him, or if I do, that's fine. But you're going to give me the 50 to 60 different things that, and they won't all apply to me. Maybe 5 or 10
Oh, of course not.
may
Of
apply to
course not.
me, like oil and gas investing, which we need to talk about. But that's something that you can tell me, so I don't have to go to you. I'm not going to go to my CPA and say, "Hey, what do you do?" I need to go to you and say, "Hey, what do you think about my situation? I'm going to make
Right.
a couple hundred thousand dollars
Absolutely.
this year. I have this tax bracket. I'm here," and you would give me
Mhm.
that. You would give me the guidance, if you will, on things I guess I could do from now, right?
Right, absolutely. And then you, in the end, make that decision yourself. And you know what, Jay? This is really important. And most people don't understand it at all. You are the driver of your own finances. You may have subcontractors. You're the general contractor of your finances. You may have subs doing things like preparing taxes, preparing your estate plan documents, helping you with your investments. But when it comes to the fundamental decisions about risk and reward in your portfolio, in your finances, you're going to make those decisions. Well, when it comes to tax planning, there are risk reward calculations, and people who would never delegate responsibility for deciding whether to take a risk in crypto or how much they want to use oil and gas to mitigate their taxes. They delegate that decision to their CPA. They give up responsibility to that decision entirely because they think, oh, it's a tax decision. My CPA is my tax person, where really it's a financial planning decision. And you make the financial planning decisions yourself. Most people delegate their tax decisions to their CPA. And as you just said, most people's CPAs are more conservative than they are. So you're taking a really important risk reward decision that you should be making yourself, and you're delegating it to someone who is likely more conservative than you. And that's like riding the brake in your finances when you're trying to accomplish your goals. Build your own business, for example, King Oil, or hit retirement, or pay for a kid's education. The CPA who's more conservative, that's like riding the brake, like driving a car and riding the brake. That slows everything down.
Man, this is good stuff, man. I'll tell you what, this is really, really good stuff because I mean, I mean, I'm not sure how many people um, that you may run into that are self-employed that just think. I mean, I've done this before. I thought about this, like 6 months after I signed my tax return because
Yeah.
you go all throughout the year, and then on April 15th at 10 o'clock at night, my CPAs or whatever sign the extension, and then whatever. It's like sign your tax document. I'm like, I mean, I don't even have anything to look at, but I trust my CPAs enough to where I'm saying,
Hmm.
okay, well, I mean, I guess I'm just going to go with what they say. They always do a great job. They're well, they're good people, and I'm just going to sign the document. I sign the document, and
Yeah,
then
they usually do a fine job. You sign the document. Here's the thing. So you mentioned earlier business owners. I work primarily with business owners because most of the strategies that I use
yeah,
are business-based strategies. However, there are personal strategies. Someone who's in a high enough tax bracket can do things with their investment portfolio. They can do things with charitable contributions that go way beyond simply giving money to charity. They can do things with a particular investment asset class that is favored by the Internal Revenue Code with strategies that go all the way back to 1928. That's oil and gas. It is the most tax favored investment. People think real estate is the most tax favored investment. It's not. Oil and gas is. So there's some things they can do, but they don't plan throughout the year. So the number one most expensive mistake is failing to plan. And you've heard the saying, I think Ben Franklin said it, but if at any here's a little sideline, a little advice. Anytime you hear a quote, you want to quote something and you don't know who said it, say it's Ben Franklin. You'll be right more often than you're wrong. But the saying is, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
yeah.
So people end up here on December whatever, and they think, oh my God, I'm scrambling. I got to find my year-end tax deduction. Well, a lot of the best tax deduction opportunities, the deadline was earlier in the year. Or even worse, on April 15th, and you're thinking, oh, I got to sign my tax return on April 15th. It's April 12th. What can I do to pay less money? And the answer is you're probably hosed. You're probably hosed. You got to do things before the end of the year. So we've got December 31st coming up. And at midnight on December 31st, a lot of the best strategies, they're like Cinderella's carriage. Poof, they turn into a pumpkin. Someone can make an investment into an oil and gas program today and save a huge amount on taxes. They'll take most of that upfront investment off the table for the IRS to tax them this year. That is a really powerful strategy now and for the next couple of weeks. But on January 1st, and an ethical vendor is not going to backdate the documents for you. There's a word for that. That word is fraud.
Yeah.
And with a program like yours, you're not willing to justify your reputation on that.
Right. Exactly. 100%. What is, and I appreciate that. So do a lot of your clients, how do they get a hold of you? So you're going to say, hey, I think oil and gas is the best write-off there is out there. I'm assuming not to everybody, but only accredited investors that have
not to everybody, but for a lot of people who are in the right situation, it's a great investment. It's a great tax play, and as well, if they believe in the product, it's a great investment. I don't need to tell you, and I probably don't need to tell your listeners who are regulars. They understand that they may want a different environment. They may want more solar, but oil and gas are still the foundation of the world economy, and they're going to be for quite some time. And all sorts of myths out there. I remember being stunned when I heard that Texas generates more solar energy than California. I thought, how can that possibly be? But it's true. So you look at your tax position, you look at your investment position, and you look at your need for income, you look at your need for capital growth, and you look at your tax needs, and either it's right for you or it's not. But you got to make an informed decision. And too many people make uninformed decisions, or they go along with someone's hype. That's the whole crypto industry. And other people will disagree with me, but I firmly believe that you cannot spell crypto without the word cry.
I haven't thought about that, but that's true. Very true.
So you make your decisions, but so they can reach me at my website. It's edwardalyon.com, edwardalyon.com, and they can see a little bit about what I've done and who I've done it with. Primarily business owners, but retirees, anyone who's investing a significant taxable retirement portfolio can do very well to sit down and learn about investment strategies. If you have mutual funds in a taxable investment portfolio, you're going to get a K1 for this year, and you're going to pay taxes on somebody else's gains. Mutual funds are the only investment where you can pay taxes and lose money. That's no fun at all.
Not at all. Not at all.
Not at all.
So do you help individual people, or do you or is there a newsletter that you can sign up for on your website, or do you go through
there isn't
financial advisors, or is there
you're paying over your taxes or you're not? So I work with individuals who most of them are business owners, but here's the thing that I'm looking for. I'm looking for people who are in pain over their taxes. Businesses may pay a lot of tax, but corporations don't feel pain over their tax. The owner of the corporation is the one who feels pain over the tax.
I was at a volleyball game with my daughter. TCU was playing Arkansas, and one of the dads from TCU was my daughter's going there next year to play volleyball. But anyway, I was talking to this guy, and I said, well, where do you live? And he goes, well, I live in Palos Verdes, California. And I said, man, how do you like paying all those taxes? And he goes, and he said, what do you do? And I said, well, we're oil and gas and funds, and you save 100% on the intangible drilling costs, and all this. And he goes, you know what? He said, the biggest expense item on my payroll is not G&A like it is for you. And I go, yeah. And he said, it is taxes. He said, we pay more taxes in California than anything and everybody else. And he said, it drives me crazy that's what I have to think about every day. First thing in the mornings, all the time, I got to think about taxes. And it's really pretty crazy.
It's unfortunate that if you want to live in Palos Verdes or Monterey or someplace like that, you've got to pay California taxes to do it. TCU, great school, by the way. I have a nephew who goes there.
Oh,
Last year, I also have his sister goes to Georgia. So the college football national championship was a tough day in their house. But there are all sorts of strategies. So you've got a daughter who is going to school. Probably you're going to pay her tuition with dad dollars that are taxed at the dad rate. But there are ways that you can put the tax code to work to get some dollars that are taxed at her rate. And that makes college more affordable. And a lot of business owners don't understand about hiring their kids and shifting income to them at their lower tax bracket. Other business owners, if their children are old enough so that they're not subject to the kiddie tax, you can set up a business entity. So I've got a couple of daughters, college graduate daughters in New York City, very expensive place to live. I'm setting up a business entity. It's a limited liability company taxed as a partnership where 24.5% of the income will get passed through to each of those daughters. So it'll be taxed at their rate, not subject to FICA tax. So I'm creating a complete arbitrage between my rate and their rate. And what does it cost me? It's $100 to set up an entity in Ohio, and I go online and get an EIN from the IRS. And that is one of the strategies.
That's amazing. I know there's probably so many different places or things that you know off the top of your head, but how do I unlock that? I mean, how do I need to call you every 3 months, 6 months, or what do I need to do? How do I unlock that brilliance in there that says, hey man, you can save money on taxes? What I need to do?
So the process works the same as if you don't feel well and you go to a doctor. 3 things are going to happen. The doctor is going to diagnose the problem, prescribe the solution, and then somebody is going to fill that prescription. It might be a pharmacist, it might be a surgeon, it might be a physical therapist, but it's typically somebody else. So when I sit down with a tax planning prospect, I'm going to ask them some questions, do a discovery call with them, and then I'm going to look at their tax returns. That's the diagnosis. Then the tax plan, we prepare a written tax plan that is the prescription for them, and then somebody will fill the plan. I can refer them to a CPA firm that I work with, or they can fill it with their own CPA. What I will tell you is that in most cases, when people see how much money their CPA has been leaving on the table in taxes, they want to move to our CPA. And it's not because their CPA is a bad guy. It's not because they made the wrong choice. Most successful people outgrow their CPA. Now, occasionally I run into someone and I look at their tax return and I say, man, this tax return ought to come wrapped in yellow crime scene tape. It's so awful. It's just so awful. And
I was wondering if we get some jokes. I heard you're the funniest, guy available for tax law. So I'm trying to figure out where do we unlock some of that humor.
Well, I save that for the podcast. There are only so many tax jokes, so I got to use them while I'm in front of people, sitting down and actually working through the mechanics of an enterprise risk management plan, or a business development corporation, or a cash balance pension plan. Those things typically aren't that funny.
Okay,
but it's fun to make fun of accountants, and they are, again, they're rule followers, and that's fine. They are not salespeople. The typical CPA couldn't sell cocaine to Charlie Sheen. It's not what they do. They're good at what they do, but what they do isn't as all-encompassing as their clients think. Your tax pro is good at doing your taxes. She's not good at helping you pay less and integrating those strategies with the rest of your finances.
Okay. So I probably need to, like, every 3 months, put down
Well,
some
it doesn't.
questions and send them to you, and we have a meeting every. Do you normally do that? What's the normal?
So typically we do a tax plan up front. We write that prescription and then we turn the tax plan over to whoever is going to be filling that prescription. And we'll have a year-end conversation. Typically in the fourth quarter, we're going to look at projections. If the accountant says, oh, business income is going to be significantly bigger this year, that's going to affect some choices. If business income is going to be significantly smaller this year, or a business is going to lose money in a year, there are a lot of things we can do there. If you're going to lose money in your business, let's do a Roth conversion this year. Let's unlock all of those taxes, offset them against the business loss, and take the taxes out of your IRA for the rest of your life. And then we're going to look at the investment portfolio. We're going to look, for example, does oil and gas make sense in an investment portfolio? In a lot of ways, it does. So last year in 2022, people said that was the death of the balanced portfolio, 60% equities, 40% bonds. Usually when stocks go up, bonds will go down, bonds will go up, stocks will go down. They'll offset each other. Last year, the 60-40 balanced portfolio was down 19%. One of the things I like about oil and gas is it's not correlated with the stock market. It's not correlated with the bond market. So it's out there, it's in your portfolio, but it helps anchor your portfolio against the volatility of the markets. One of the things that people did a lot over the last couple of years was complain about gas prices going up. And there are people who judge the success of the entire economy by the price of gas. Well, I think that's a mistake to look at one figure as the judge for the entire economy. But hey, do you want to be in an investment where you're going to make money when gas prices go up?
Yeah,
Oil and gas gives you that opportunity.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That's great, great analogy. I like that. So what motivates
Had a
you to?
feeling you would like that one.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. I don't. I mean, oil and gas is all about supply and demand, and whether or not
Yeah.
we're going to have enough supply in the country to, meet our demand. And if we have less supply, the price is going to go up, which I feel like the price will go up, next year. I don't know about considerably, but I feel like that we're in the $80 to $100 mark next year. But hey, this is
You guys have a team of economists, and you have a team of experts in that industry who I wouldn't dare to second guess. Although I did see this morning that BP is halting transportation in the Persian Gulf because of some damn thing or another going on in the Middle East. It's always something, and the price is going back up. Why not be in a position where you can take advantage of those price fluctuations instead of being held hostage to them?
it doesn't take much around the world to see prices to go up, and that's what I'm feeling like that we're going to see a good
Yeah,
supply
you
and demand
said
difference here pretty soon.
Yep, you said it's a supply and demand business. There is still an enormous demand for the commodity, and you can get tax deductions for investing in it. You can get upfront deductions for the intangible drilling costs. You can depreciate the equipment. You can deduct depreciation allowance. And there are lots of tax advantaged ways that I can help clients get out of a program when it terminates. If you've got a capital gain coming out of a program, paying tax on capital gains is voluntary for most people. You can always find a way to either defer, lower, or eliminate that tax bill entirely.
Right, right. It's a good thought. It's a good thought. I appreciate that. And I tell you what, I mean, I've I think we need to put you on like a 3 months, 6 months, or 9 month or whatever, just to make sure, because I always forget. I mean, not I always forget, but and all of a sudden, the last second, I'm always, hey Rex, what's going on with my taxes? And
Right.
he works here at the company and has for 20 years or whatever. But I always think about it, and I go, what do I need to do? Well, what I not need to do? And he goes, well, you have some carry forward from, some of that stuff you got into a couple of years ago, or you have a lot of write-offs for intangibles, but we want to make sure this is so important for everybody, because you're leaving a lot of money on the table. I mean, you're not doing what you need to be doing, and people say, hey, you know what? I want to invest. I want to save $100,000 on my taxes. Well, out of your portfolio that you have, put $200,000 into our program, and you if you're in a 50% tax bracket, which you are if you live in
In
California,
California, that's
you
pretty
literally
easy.
save $100,000 right there. So now we need to work on, and that's the J Young and King operating part of this business, is trying to, work our ways on getting our funds up to a certain level so we can get you back that $100,000 plus, more returns. So
Right.
it's exciting for me to know that there's people out there like you, and not that I probably haven't known that in the back of my head, but to know that the funniest guy in America, well, funniest tax guy in
Funniest tax
America,
guy.
I should say that you may be. I don't know. You could be the funniest guy in America.
Jimmy Kimmel's not quaking in his boots at me, but
But let's just say for somebody like you to I know that, hey, man, you've been on the Jay Young show. You're out there and you're available to speak with me personally. I'll send you some information about what my goals are. And I know that if I want to save money, and it's not about oil and gas. And I don't want you to go out there and just tell everybody the first thing, hey, you need to invest with King Operating. Don't do that. I don't want to scare them off.
no.
The second thing is fine. It's perfectly fine. You can tell them invest in King Operating.
Well, and
No,
if
just kidding.
you don't have a tax plan of your own, Uncle Sam has one for you. And the IRS is going to take that money and they're going to give it to the U.S. Congress, and the U.S. Congress is going to decide where to spend it. I've never met a single person in my life who thinks that collection of half-wits, freaks, and grotesques can spend their money better than they can, right? I don't care if you're a Democrat, a Republican, or anywhere in between. You can do a better job spending your money for yourself and your family than the United States Congress. And what tax planning does is it lets you rescue those dollars and do a better job of spending. Where do you want to make your contribution to the economy? I tell clients who are charitably inclined, that's a great thing. You get tax deductions and you decide what organizations get that money instead of letting the government decide. So I work with a firm called Excel Empire. At Excel Empire, we have a whole tax team. I'm the tip of the spear, but we have planners, we have CPAs, and we have those sorts of relationships with clients across the country. There's a little more pain over taxes in Palos Verdes than there is in Texas, and that's why so many people from California are moving to Texas. In San Francisco, they've got a part of town is called Chinatown. In Los Angeles, they've got Koreatown. I'm pretty sure that in Texas, soon there are going to be parts of Texas that are just called California Town.
Yeah.
And it'll be all the California refugees who've moved.
There's a lot. There's definitely a lot, and we appreciate them, definitely. But I know why they're coming here. I mean, I was talking to a guy a few months ago, and he was going to build a company. He had a really great idea about building a company, but he lives in California. And I said, Have you done the tax law, or you done the tax, savings? That if you move that, if you're going to build $1 billion business, or whatever the case, if you're going to build $1 billion business, how long is it going to take you? How much longer is it going to take you than if you're in California than it is in Texas? Same product. He's got the idea of a product. He's got a manufacturing plant he can put in. Everything's the same. He doesn't have people hired here. He has half his people hired in California to start. But I said, how much more money, or much longer would it take you to get to, $1 billion? And he came back and said, man, it's astonishing. He said, me and my wife were sitting down to talk about it. I don't know what happened, but I mean, it was just it's like common sense.
It is, and it's doing the numbers, it's doing the math. So California is a blue state and Texas is a red state, and you can have all sorts of good faith debates on both sides about which approach to government is better. But we're not talking about a difference of opinion. We're talking about math. And there is no red state math or blue state math, and math plays for keeps.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'll tell you what, Ed, we're running out of time. Is there anything in particular you want to say at the very end? I want to make sure that people know your website, that people know you, that they can go to you. They go to Edward A. Lyon.
EdwardALyon.com.
And they can reach you and all that. Is there anything you want to finish up with?
Don't wait until the last minute. there are things that you can still do as a business owner or even an individual to change what your tax return looks like on April 15th. But the key to your April 15th tax return is what you do the year before. It's what you do in 2023 that makes the difference on your 2024 tax return. I don't care how good your CPA is. By the time January 1st rolls around, there's only so much he or she can do. So and I know that if procrastination were an Olympic sport, most Americans would be ruled too professional to compete. They'd be ineligible because that's what we do. But if you want to pay less on April 15th, you got 2 weeks left in most cases to make the difference.
Yeah, that's a great thought. And I tell you what, I've really, really enjoyed this. This has been really fascinating to know that there's people that isn't necessarily my CPA, but it's somebody that has the knowledge to help me save money on my taxes. Because, hey, I guarantee you, read John Malden's newsletter last weekend. It did talk about the deficit. It talked about, the government's not doing a very good job in raising revenue from taxes or paying less. And so we're in a big problem. So don't think they're going to figure it out for you. You're the only one that can do it for you. Make sure that you do it for you and your family. So edwardalyon.com. Ed, I really do appreciate you being here today. And it's been
Jay, thanks for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Hey, what an incredible conversation with Ed Lyon. Well, he's a true master of tax strategy and someone who knows how to make the IRS nervous. Is that a way can you make the IRS nervous? I don't know.
I mean, I guess.
Yeah.
If more people find out about him, which they might. Isn't he doing a tax webinar series with you?
Yeah, he has. He's done a lot of them, and he's an incredible guy, very knowledgeable, and he loves King Operating. He loves what we do because we're not only, we want to show people a good write-off, and that's what we do is we have a tremendous write-off, just like all other oil and gas. Hey, you can do the same, get the same write-off with us as you can somebody else. But what he likes about us is he likes our strategy because our strategy is to put money in your pocket and not just, say, hey, I'm going to save money on taxes and that's it. So we have there's a second step, which is the reason why I called the book The Upside of Oil and Gas Investing, because there is an upside to oil and gas investing because, we drill in places that are known for oil and gas. We're producing 2 wells right now. We've got, 4 wells in the Eastern Shelf, and we also have 2 wells in the Bivens Ranch that are producing about $1 million a month in revenue. We're excited about that. So we're showing it a little bit differently, and that's the reason why I wrote the book.
Right.
So people could see the difference. Is there a difference? And the answer is obviously yes. There is a difference.
If somebody wanted to watch the webinar, the tax series webinar, how would they watch that on kingoperating.com?
Yeah, kingoperating.com. That's a good segue into our website. Jordan, good job. That is our website, kingoperating.com. And you could.
Just
if
a natural side. I did not mean to.
Yeah, no, it's great. Hey, I appreciate that. And matter of fact, if it's not on,
curious.
If we don't have anything, there's YouTube. There is there's our website, kingoperating.com. And if you don't see it, just write in there to somebody that'll get back with you and touch base with you about that. So that's great, and thank you very much for that.
Yeah, of course.
Great.
Is it time for Jay's Weekly 5?
Jay's Weekly 5. Yeah, let's go. Let's go. You ready? I know. We need some music. Or something.
I know. We do. We need like a little segment into it.
I don't know if I could record me playing the drums at my house and then bring that some up here. There you go. Okay. Anyway, word of the week is motivation. And I tell you,
love this.
I 3 or 4 times last week, even Peyton Manning, motivation. I mean, there's so many different times I heard this word over the week, and I came to Laura this morning, our marketing expert here, and I said, hey, my word of the week is motivation, but I probably already used it. And she said, no, you haven't used motivation. I'm like, okay, good.
No. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, you haven't.
Man, I know I haven't. And I like when people are motivated. I like it when people are motivated. They have their, there's a lot of things that you can do in this life, but I love it when people make the choice to be motivated for King Operating and getting ahead with our company and what we do, because it helps our clients. It really helps our clients out. So what do you think about when somebody says motivation to you? What do you think about?
I think that this is such an interesting term because when people say, oh, I'm just not motivated today, or oh, I'm trying to find the motivation, typically what they're talking about is like when they can't find the motivation is that they're doing something that they don't necessarily want to do and getting the motivation to push through that. But I find that if you are acting in passion, right? If you have this passion, that often will fuel you to go and push through and have that motivation instead of just white knuckling it and being like, oh, I'm just going to find motivation anywhere and just go forward.
Right.
It's being in alignment with what you have decided is your path and going forward, and the motivation will come. But I think most of the time, in my opinion at least, I think that motivation needs to be rooted in passion, and having your passion be that place where the motivation comes from, because you'll push through and you'll take that action, you'll stay focused, you'll finish strong, especially when that path gets challenging. And
Right.
That's why it's so important to have the passion and the motivation that then stems from that passion. But being
Right.
in alignment with what you've determined that passion to be is also a very crucial part of that puzzle, if that makes sense.
Yeah. 100%. I mean, I understand that. And I really like it a lot because it is motivation to me is something that you're motivated for an end result. And what is that end result? And what's the goal, right?
Right.
It's kind of like I always think about 100,000 barrels a month or 200,000 barrels a month, or what is it that our clients are going to see in their eyes, and what is it that they want? They want 20% returns a year in monthly income, and they want to see a 3-to-1, 5-to-1 return over a 3 to 5 year period. Okay, so now I take that and I reverse engineer it to think, okay, so now what kind of wells do I need to have in my portfolio so we can achieve those kind of results, And
Right.
I've looked at a lot of different projects, and the Bivens, we have 3 different assets: the Bivens, the Mid-Continent, and the non-operated fund that we have. And those 3 funds right there is something that we have that we could all grow those to, let's say, $500 million or $1 billion each. We can grow
Right.
those assets to that. So that's what I like about motivation. It's not only just, waking up and being motivated, because what does motivation mean? It's kind of a
Right.
hard answer, but it's also you're motivated to do what by when.
Right.
It's like
Absolutely.
it's like when I started listening to motivational tapes years and years and years ago, way before Jordan was born. I started listening to motivational tapes and thinking, okay, hey, that's right. Well, I got to set my goals. And I was listening to Zig Ziglar, and he'd talk about, you set your goal, you name your goal. It's like, I want to lose 20 pounds. Okay, you'll lose 20 pounds by when? And what are you going to have to do to get there? What's in it for you? And also, what kind of people do I need to surround myself with to be able to do it? So I love the
Absolutely.
word motivation. I think it's really good. And it kind of goes into my Bible verse of the week. And I love this Bible verse, matter of fact. Romans 8:18. There's somebody at Prestonwood where I go to church, and it's ROM 8:18. And the first time I saw that, I'm like, man, now what is that? Oh, that's a Bible verse. So I looked it up, and it says that it just talks about what you're going through today has nothing compared to the afterlife, and for the goodness of what you'll see in heaven. So I loved it because I was like, man, now this, talking about a goal and talking about exactly what happens and what you can, what you're aspired to see in the future is nothing. So let me find it real quick. For I consider that the sufferings of this present time are not worth comparing with the glory that is to be revealed to us in the future, and the goodness that we're going to have in the future. So I love that, and I love that for motivation, but I also love it because, our clients, and thinking about our clients and thinking about, okay, investing with us, there's no guarantees in the oil and gas business, but you know what? We feel like we're going to go into places where we mitigate as much risk as possible, and we're going to grow these assets over time, and there'll be something good on the other end. So I love the Bible verse of the week. Books, which book do you like best? What's your favorite book, Jordan?
Well, right now I'm reading Grit, and it is a book actually that was recommended by my mom. She is all about the self-help books, and I have followed in her path apparently. But it's just this awesome book. Kind of goes into Atomic Habits, which we talked about last time we got together. This book is all about motivational, research-backed. Just ways to, like you had mentioned, motivation, like ways to push through those challenges and to make things happen. It's widely referenced in business. It's a great read. It's pretty easy to get through, but just how perseverance and passion, not just talent, will drive the long-term success. And, when you're talented and things come a little naturally easy to you, it's easy to kind of get a little lazy and just kind of coast in the talent. But if you really want to get to that long-term success, to have the grit, to go through with motivation and to get to where you're wanting to go is really a really great. It's just a great read. I can't recommend it enough.
That's great. Good for you. Good.
What
good
about
to read
you?
that. Good to read that. My book of the week is Make Your Bed. Admiral William McRaven. I don't know who hasn't. Maybe I should say who has or who hasn't seen.
I gotta say,
that
didn't
video.
make my bed today. Did not do my accomplishment in the morning, and I was a little frazzled this morning. I was like, wait a second, it's your first accomplishment of the day. It's so important.
It really is, and Admiral McRaven says that in his speech. He gives a commencement speech at UT. He's at Longhorn, and he does talk about it, and it's made him famous. That one step, he said, the first thing you need to do every day, without a doubt, is make your bed. And so I get up so early I can't make my bed because my wife's in there, and maybe I don't know, but anyway, I get up. But anyway, so short, powerful, highly motivating lessons in discipline and resilience from one of the most watched commencement speeches ever.
I gotta say, Jay, I love commencement speeches.
Yeah.
They're so great to watch, and they're just so fun.
Yeah, I'm gonna do one. I need to get on that.
You know what? You should.
I know I should. I really should. I'm going to do that. So as one of my goals before I'm 65. I'm 62 now.
I was about to say by when and where.
Exactly. Angelo State University. I guess I got to do my own school, don't I? I got to do somebody else's school
there
or
you go.
whatever. Okay, so I got to do my own school, which I'll do Angelo State University, and I'm going to give the commencement speech in the next couple of years. I guess I don't know. Maybe
there you go.
by the time I'm 65. All right, so I'm going to send them a deal. I know them, and I want to send them something and say, hey, my goal is to do a commencement speech by January 3rd, 1960, whatever it is. Not 1960. That's when I was born. 2028. So
there you go.
I can do it right. Okay. Anyway, good.
You
hey,
can.
What about
I believe in
podcasts? What? Thank you. I appreciate that. You're one of my biggest supporters, Jordan. You really are.
You're one of mine.
I
So there we
appreciate that.
go. Look at that.
There you go. What's the podcast?
The Mindset Mentor by Rob Dial.
Dial.
It's super popular right now. It's short, it's punchy, it's motivational episodes designed to get people unstuck and moving forward.
Wow.
It's just a great, it's directly in alignment with what we're talking about today with motivation.
Yeah.
It's a really great one. What about you?
Yeah, I'll go to the Tony Robbins podcast. I don't think I've mentioned him. I mean, Tony Robbins is a great individual, just very motivated. I remember being in somewhere at the Caribbean somewhere, and there was a big, huge, thousands of people going to one of his seminars, and they were walking across coals. I mean, this guy, if you can get anybody to walk across coals in your bare feet, you're motivating somebody. You got to motivate them to do some crazy things. But anyway, I love him. He's really a great guy and a great person. And
Absolutely.
you know, he's done it, been there. He grew up extremely poor and made it, and he's done very, very well today. So very, very happy for him, and love listening to Tony. So really, really good. Okay. TV shows. Oh, man, we can't go without talking about Landman one more time. Season 2, that oil patch drama. It's about resilience, pressure, hard decisions, and the drive to push forward when the stakes are high. So a motivational narrative wrapped up in the industry that, I grew up in that area, that era, and that way, and that's just the way that we grew up. And, it's great. Come join us for we can go to Fort Worth and hang out at some of the places that they there's like 15 places in Fort Worth that they filmed parts of.
That's cool.
Yeah, from TCU to the Drover to the Pat's Cafe. They say it's a Pat's Cafe on the deal, but no, it's really good. So anyway, it's a good show, and I look forward to knowing to asking or for people to come in and ask me questions below. Hey, what about this? What about that? I know there's a lot of people that think that there's dumb questions in the oil and gas patch, but there really isn't. It's just been in my blood for so long. I understand it, and wouldn't even really think. It's kind of hard for me to think about some of the things because it just comes natural. But then there's also things that, I trying to shut off that well. Remember that well blew out last season? The well blew out, and they were up there on a wrench, and they were trying to turn it off, and they were going this way with the wrench. I'm like, whoa, don't go that way. Don't go. You're opening it up. Go this way.
That's the wrong way.
Yeah,
if
you're going to try to crank this thing down, don't go that way. You go this way. So, but anyway, great episodes. I think Billy Bob Thornton does an incredible job. I heard that Taylor Sheridan sat down at a dinner, and he sat right next to I don't even know if he sat right next to him or not, but sat down right next to him, and he said, Billy Bob, I've got a part for you. I got the perfect part for you. I mean, it's like I can see it now. Just Taylor Sheridan, he's writing all these scripts, and all of a sudden he gets with Billy Bob Thornton, and all of a sudden they talk about it, and here it goes, and man, it's one on, and Billy Bob does a great job, along with all the other actors on there, from Demi Moore to his wife in the show and son, and now his dad's coming on, Sam Elliott. Yeah, Sam Elliott is his dad, and it's amazing. And the reason why the daughter, I think it's Ainsley, find out the reason why she decides to go to TCU instead of Texas Tech. That'll be my what are we going to do for this week episode. Find out the reason why she decides to go to TCU instead of Texas Tech, and we'll brief you back here next week. So, Jordan, thanks for being here today. It's been a pleasure. Absolutely. Thanks, everybody, and y'all have a great week, and we'll see you back here next week. Thank you.